strategic move that Eddie is making for AJ? Why are you not thinking, let's get him set up for
kind of animal?
If that was years and years and years ago. Like, Clarissa is a way different fighter from when she was back in.
Thanks to those joining me live and to those that will be joining me on our
defenses that she's had to have recently. You know, she's pulled people.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the RoundTable about tribalism. I don't think tribalism is necessarily bad. I just don't think it has to be.
I don't know what he think he sees or what he think he know. But he going to the hospital, bro. Like, bro, you not winning that fight.
You guys mentioned, I think, Tszyu, you mentioned him versus Regis Prograis. I'd love that. Sounds like a
old. I don't need you, you know, and PBC and others, in my opinion, it's like, oh, this is my guy. Like, there's a relationship.
Flat out, it's tough, and we call box, and we go to the end of the round, and then
that would say, what do you mean by acting black? That's a fair question, but a participant of trash talk knows.
And they're announcing a fight 3-4 months from now, and he ain't gonna fight. I bet you anything, he's not gonna fight somebody as good as John Wright. What's going on, everybody? D-Style here. Thanks to those that'll be joining us live and on archive. Got a nice panel for you here at RoundTable 121. We got Joe Habib from Ringside Reporter. We have MC in the Ring, Loa Hanshaw, on here as well. Make sure you follow her on Twitter. And also, we're being joined by Boxing Wave. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. Let's go ahead and get this one started. The Boxing Wave is in Amsterdam right now. I just want to point that out. You know what I mean? It's everywhere. Mr. Worldwide, you know, but not really. But hey, let's go ahead and get this one started, guys. I want to start with the press conference that happened today. I didn't know what the hell was going on with press. I don't know if it was going to be a Zoom call. I don't know what the hell, but it was an actual press conference. There was media there, and I have my opinions about it, but we're going to go around. Boxing Wave, let's start with you. Did you get a chance to watch the like I know you did, but what did you think of the press conference?
Yeah, so I was live on it earlier, and honestly, I didn't get really anything out of it. I thought, you know, what I do think it's getting like played out when these guys like push each other and they do like a fake fight thing. So I am tired of that, but I thought they would do a lot more talking than they actually did. Like, they didn't do really much talking of anything. And they seemed to be really PC during the presser. The presser started extremely late because Tank wasn't there, so I wasn't even sure if he was going to show up. Like, and then they said he was going to, you know, he was there. Then it took a while for him to come out to the actual stage. But I don't know. I thought the presser was kind of boring. I think they have one more presser to go. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're doing like 2 pressers to promote this fight, and then they'll probably do, you know, presser or the week of the fight. But I didn't like it, to be honest. I was kind of bored of it.
Okay. MC, what did you think of the press conference?
I think I agree. It started 2 hours late due to Tank being late. And the first thing that I thought is, here we go with the mind games. I think that being late was definitely intentional. I respect him, right? Hate the player, not the game, right? Don't hate the player, hate the game, I mean. So I'm glad. I felt that Ryan handled it extremely well. I like the way Ryan presented himself. I like what he said. I think it was a great conference. It was a great start. I don't expect for all of us to use up all the gas here on the first press conference. There's still a long time to go. I expect for this fight to get a lot of promotion. So I think that they're going to be doing the round in a lot of different media outlets. So I don't want them to run out of energy now, right? We still have to record the All Access, which we know that's something that Showtime always does for their fights. And this time they're expecting to have 2 episodes for that. So more content. That's not even mentioning everything else that their own camps are going to do, promoting the fights and doing all that. So it was great. I'm excited for tomorrow. And I can't wait to see those tickets sell out, because I think that they will sell out by the end of next week.
Joe Babe, same question to you.
I got to be honest. I actually loved the press conference. I loved seeing everybody at that table. Like it's like kumbaya, brothers in arms. You never would think that you would see a PBC fighter and a Golden Boy fighter ever at the same table ever again. But it was reality, right? I was very impressed with how Ryan handled himself at that press conference. Because he's never been on that stage before. Tank's been on that stage before. This is Ryan's, first pay-per-view event. And he just seemed calm, relaxed. And a lot of times people criticize Ryan. They say he's fake. He's not sincere when he says things. I actually believed every word he said at this press conference. I have to be honest. And I kind of like when Tank chimed in, when they asked him, how you see this fight going? He goes, I'm going to beat his ass. And they kind of had that exchange. And, then Ryan accused him of not being professional, showing up late. He goes, I have to promote this fight, whatever. And then he goes, that's what you're supposed to do, whatever. And they had that little exchange. I thought that was kind of cool. Bernard Hopkins's speech kind of moved me a little bit because he basically called out all the other promoters and said, we're setting the trend. You guys need to follow us. And I thought it was deep. I thought that was very moving words from the legend himself. So overall, I think they did a great job, and they sold this fight to me. I'm getting excited, and I think as time goes on, I think things will start to heat up. I think MC mentioned this earlier. These guys will make the media rounds. They may go on First Take with Stephen A. Smith, maybe Shannon Sharp. They'll do all those shows, and I think this fight has the potential to be the biggest fight of the year.
Okay. All right. Lo, what did you think about it?
I mean, it started an hour and a half late, so I loved that. We love when people are not punctual. That thrills me. But really, I don't think that it was bad energy. It was just low energy. I think for both of these guys, they have a very extensive amateur background. They're well established so far in their pro career. To them, there's nothing to get hyped up about, even though, we're excited because the rankings, the, potential for a belt down the line, fight with Devin Haney, or whoever. And it's like, that excites us. But for them, it's another day in the office. So I think that might be why we didn't see so much, as you put it, boxing with like all the pushing and shoving and the forced hostility that we kind of see on stages sometimes. Like you can tell, you really don't hate each other. You're just selling a fight. We get it. They didn't really do that. It wasn't the most exciting. It wasn't a Tony Harrison press conference. It wasn't a Tyson Fury press conference, but it was what it was.
Yeah, well, it wasn't exactly a Ricardo Mayorga on stage, but here's the thing. A couple of things. I'm sorry, Joe. I wasn't moved by any of the speeches. It wasn't exactly Martin Luther King up there. You know what I mean? Like I Am a Dream speech or something. I just didn't feel it. You know what I mean? It was just kind of like a lot of patting each other in the back and look at what we did and we're setting the trend and this fight is gonna change. Like what are they talking about? Like what? In other words, this is a fight that's way overdue. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, that's what everybody says now because it's true. All right. These guys could have fought last year. They could have fought in October. They made us wait. They did. Okay. Now, granted, I'll take it. I'm excited for the fight. I just don't like the patting in the back, and I don't like all the fans. And I see them on Twitter demanding that we give them credit and we praise them. Praise them for what? I don't praise the mailman when he delivers my mail. Okay. I don't praise the Walmart employees because they stock up the shelves. Okay. I don't praise people for doing what they're supposed to do. Tank and Ryan should fight each other. Who else are they supposed to fight? All the other guys that they fought that we didn't want to see them fight? Like these dudes owe us an interest. You're supposed to fight each other. You're supposed to try to fight the best available opposition. You're supposed to fight the best. I'm not going to praise you for just signing a piece of paper, okay, and you're going to get paid a lot of money to do it, right? That's not how it works, because after this fight, for the winner, Okay, because I heard Tank's trainer say, "Oh, hey, after this fight, all the other lightweights are gonna have to step up." What the fuck you talking about? So Lomachenko, Haney, we're gonna fight each other for the undisputed lightweight champions of the world. Gonna learn from you? Learn what? Get the hell out of here! Like at the end of the day, no, you learn from them. Okay, Teofimo Lopez stepped up. All right, didn't make a lot of money. He took a pay cut during a pandemic to fight Lomachenko. Lomachenko took a pay cut to give us a fight in an empty arena while everybody was at home. While Tank Davis was fighting Mario Barrios at 140 pounds, with a weight class he refuses to fight Ryan at. I like to call Ryan Lion Ryan, but who's the liar now? Like, I guess we were right about Mario Barrios all along. It was a fight put in front of Tank so Tank could win. That's why they didn't care about the weight difference. Otherwise, he would have fought Tank at Ryan at 140. Now, I want to go around here. What did you guys make of Ryan pointing out? He kind of threw it in there. He's like, I don't want to make excuses, but then he threw it in there, saying, hey, I put the fans first, not myself first, but he brought up the catch weight and the rehydration clause. What did you make of that, Wave?
I'm not mad at it because put it on blast. You know, usually when fighters, or at least when fans find out that there's some kind of clause in there with the weights, they go crazy. So put it out there. It's a lot of people don't know that this is happening. You know, and not only that, the way he kept like going back to it, I felt like he was frustrated that Tank took like mad long to get there. You know, because they were just buying time. So even though he seemed to be very mature, which MC said he was very mature during the interview. If you've seen his recent interviews, like the past month or two, he's been very mature. Like he's the different guy that he was like right around the time he fought Luke Campbell and before that. So I think he has matured, but I think like at the same time, I feel like he was definitely coached on what to, I mean, he's promoted by Oscar. If anybody knows him and Bernard Hopkins know the game. You got to go up there on that stage. Yeah, you got to say how you feel. And I believe that a lot of things he said he meant. But I also think that they coached him too on what to say and bring up that weight, you know, that rehydration clause, because people don't know that it's taken him a lot and he had to sacrifice a lot in order to make this fight. I said this on my live. If he said, I don't agree to 136, that's too low. I can't fight at lightweight anymore. I want to do 138. They probably wouldn't have had the fight. So he had to make the sacrifices in order to make the fight. So I think that was a good idea for him to bring that up. That's it.
Right. Really quick, I just want to acknowledge, because he kind of brought it up. That's why looking for LWC members. Thank you for instigating there, brother. Salute to all the channels like Boxing Voice calling out this rehydration clause. Shit, PBC fanboys gave Nello crap, but are quiet now. Man. MC, well, what did you make about Ryan's comments? Should he have just kept it to himself since he agreed, or should he have brought it up?
Well, I think, first of all, because of the fact that Tank was late, Ryan had to keep talking longer because they had to, it seemed like they were kind of making time for him, and they got all those extra interviews when those guys were out there, the Mortal Kombat, right? I think that's what they're called. But all big fights have these type of clause. I'm not surprised. And if you know boxing, really, you shouldn't be surprised either. I think that Ryan totally understands he's the B side here. And Tank made it known even today again. He told them when he said you were waiting, like we waited for you, and he goes, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. What do you think that meant? It meant you're the B side. You're going to do whatever I say. And if you win, you're pretty much taking all my fans and you're taking the respect from everyone. So I think Ryan knows that the risk might be that basically he has to do a lot, but it's going to be worth it. If he wins, if he can pull this off, he will be the next face of boxing. No doubt of that. and he's got so much potential from his brand perspective. There's a lot of things that Ryan can do that a lot of other boxers can't currently do. So I think it's just business as usual for me.
Okay, all right. Joe, babe, same question to you, brother.
Just as I said earlier, I thought Ryan did a great job at this press conference, and I'll tell you why he brought up that. Because he's selling the fight even more, saying, look what I had to do and sacrifice to get this fight over the line. I'm the one that really pushed for this fight. I did this, and this to make it happen. He really didn't want it as much as I did. So that way it makes him look like the good guy here, and it kind of ingratiates him to the fans a little bit. Now the fans will be like, oh, well, look at this guy. He had to do all this. And Tank, he's looking for ways to weaken Ryan. He's trying to get this advantage over him. Maybe he's not confident. So it kind of takes a shot at Tank and his confidence in whether or not he can beat Ryan. So he has to add these stipulations in there to try to level the playing field or even tilt it to his favor. So it's kind of a bonus for Ryan. It's a feather in his cap to do this, in my opinion. I'm sure other people would interpret it any way they want, and probably differently than me, maybe. But I think that's what it does, and I think it adds like a storyline to the fight as well, too. So now people are going to be like, oh, well, how's this going to be on fight night? Will Ryan be weakened at all? How is this all going to play out? Right. So I just think it adds a layer to the fight.
All right. Lo, what did you think?
I mean, I agree with Joe. It just adds another layer to the fight. I think that, they put all these clauses in contracts for the simple reason that they are advantages to whoever is requesting them. So you look at Benavidez and Plant, for example, they wanted the 18-foot or the 18 square foot ring. There's a reason for that. They're not requesting that just because, oh, that one's my favorite. No, there's a reason they want it. It fits their style, and there's a reason that the rehydration clause is there. It fits. It's an advantage for them to be able to go up to that 146, like on the weigh-in of the fight. Like, there's a reason. And they've been in the game long enough. They know how it's going to affect them. They know how it's probably going to affect their opponent. I have no opinion on it. To me, it's just run of the mill. Another day in the office, boxing. It's not going to affect much, in my opinion, because they're going to be playing on an even field. I also think, though, that him bringing it up is not that big. I think he should have, because the transparency of it all. I want to know what all the conditions are of those two fighters getting in the ring. I'm sure people who bet on fights, I can't bet on fights, but if I was, I'd want to know. That helps your decision making as far as what bets you make. So I don't know. I have no opinion on it.
Yeah, I've always had the same. I've always had the same stance on catchweights. Right? I don't like them. I've never liked them. That will never change. I don't care if Canelo does it. I criticized him when he did it. I criticize all fighters when they do it. Right? And the response always is, because my biggest pet peeve is when people that are okay with the catchweights, when they say, well, it wouldn't matter anyway. Well, if it wouldn't matter anyway, why did he ask for it? Right? Let's use our common sense here. And if you don't want a fighter to shame you or bring something up, don't request anything. Right? It just is what it is. Now, just really quick, I just want a one-word answer. Over, under. That's it. 500,000 buys. Over or under that mark? Boxing Wave. Will it do over or under?
Over.
All right. MC?
Barely.
Over.
Joe?
I originally said it would do 400, but I'm rooting for it to do 1 million because I want this to succeed.
So over?
I'm gonna answer this with my heart. I'm gonna say over.
Okay. Low.
Over for sure.
Okay.
I mean, if Paul and Fury can pull out, what was it, 750,000?
I was about to ask you guys, is it going to be over that?
It might come close to that. I think.
No, that had a big apparatus. That had Fox and ESPN.
Well, here's the problem with that number.
But it was on a Sunday. It
I'm
was
not
on
going to say that.
Sunday too.
I'm not going to say it's a problem, but I think they counted like worldwide numbers, where this may just be counting US. So that's the difference, I think. But
They might be offering it worldwide because they're teaming up with the Zone, and that is
no,
one of the benefits
they'll
they
offer
can.
it worldwide, but a lot of times, MC, with these types of events, they don't always like
Yeah,
they
they
don't always
cost $10, like $4.99 or
no,
something.
but they
Yeah,
always, a lot of times they only reveal the US numbers in events like this. Hopefully, I mean, if worldwide, I'm sure it will do well. But I'm just curious like how it will do exclusively here in the United States.
Well, will be interesting. I don't even know what the price. Anybody know the price of the pay-per-view?
It's going to be at
they
least.
haven't said.
I can't see it being lower than 75.
I think the build up to Fury and Paul was incredible.
Yeah, they did a great job with promoting that fight.
That was just $50. That's what I'm asking.
The build up of this is whether or not the fight was going to actually happen. The build up of that was just trash talk, canceled fights, and stuff like that. But
sure, yeah.
And by the way, the chat overwhelming over, a lot of overs, and not a lot of people betting on the under. So it kind of tells you where the fight's at. If it's going to do over 500,000 for sure. So we'll see where that goes. It'll be very disappointing because there's one thing. Just last thing I want to say. One thing Ryan had said is going to tell us where boxing's at. He said, right. So he's kind of put it on his back, kind of like we're going to sell this shit. You know what I mean? And that's a good mentality to have, at least, going into this. So we'll see. They're both going to use their social media following. They both have a little.
Ryan have a lot of like younger fans. I keep hearing that. Like he's got a lot of kind of like a demographic similar to Jake Paul. Like he's got a lot of younger fans.
Look, a lot of those teenage girls are going to be bothering their dad to buy that pay-per-view.
Can I ask you guys something before we move on?
Sure.
Do we know exactly how Ryan performs for his fights? Do we know?
Like his viewership?
Yeah. Do we know?
All we got is
I think that they have that.
We have his gates. That's it. And I don't even remember what his last gates were.
But I'm sure the Zone has that.
The only reason why I asked it because you brought up the social media, and we always just bring up his Instagram followers and nothing else when it comes to his numbers.
Yeah. Look, both these guys, Tank fought on Mayweather undercards. Ryan was fighting on Canelo undercards. So they've been built up like over time. And they have a social media following. But I just don't know if Ryan's social media following translates to buys. I just don't know.
Yeah.
How many of those little teenage girls are going to convince their dad to buy the pay-per-view? I have no idea. I mean, that's what it might come down to. You know what I mean? So
money is money. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw that story of that one girl. She had like 1 million Instagram followers, set up a greeting meet, and nobody showed up to the mall. Right?
I heard about
Sometimes,
that.
Yeah, certain things don't translate. You know what I mean? It kind of is what it is. But that'll be that. Let's go ahead and proceed here. I'm going to move on. There was a fight this last weekend. I just want to cover it really quick. Figueroa obviously defeated Magsayo, and now Figueroa is set to face Rey Vargas. All right. Now Rey Vargas, obviously he's doing his thing. Okay, shout out to him. But he just lost. I'm assuming he's going to go back down in weight to 126. Babe, who do you like in this fight? If it happens, because it looks that this was to become a mandatory to fight Rey Vargas.
I think Vargas is the better fighter, but Figueroa has always overperformed, in my opinion, from what my perception of the fight is going to be. I thought he would win. I thought he would win, but I gave Magsayo a shot in this past fight. But I just like the way Figueroa just turns it on. He just has a gas tank that just keeps going. I didn't like how the referee handled the fight. I thought that had an impact on the way Magsayo ended up fighting towards the end. But regardless, Figueroa just keeps on coming. I've just never seen anyone be able to stop him in his tracks. You may buzz him a little bit, but he just keeps going. And I think Vargas can win this fight from boxing on the outside, but the question is, can he keep him out there? I would pick Vargas in this fight by decision, but Figueroa has always surprised me by the way he just rises to the occasion in these fights. He overperforms. He overperforms, in my opinion, from what I expect from him.
MC Figueroa coming off a big win. He's on a roll. You know what I mean? How do you see him against Rey Vargas here?
I think he actually beats Rey Vargas. I think that the way Rey Vargas looked against Foster is not the way a 2-3 divisional champion should look. I'm sorry, but he had no answers for him. And I don't think he's going to have answers for young Brandon Figueroa, who's got a granite chin, apparently. He gets hit 27 times and was like, yeah, I love getting hit. Hilarious, right? So I think that Brandon, not only does he have this belt to look forward to, or the real belt, because I think he has an interim now, right? Once he fights Vargas, he'll get the real one. He's looking for that Stephen Fulton rematch that is going to be worth so much more after what happens in the Inoue versus Stephen Fulton. So there's a lot riding for Brandon, more than there is riding for Vargas. Also, Vargas no longer has his longtime coach. That was something that could have possibly affected him during the Foster fight. So is he going to be able to adjust with his next fight with a champion like Brandon Figueroa? Brandon Figueroa had a great fight against Stephen Fulton. He even said today he thinks he won. So Brandon, 956, the Valley, I'm from Texas, right? So I think he's going to do a great job against that. And I'm excited to see the rest of that weight class. It's getting so interesting. Mexico has so many champions in there now and upcoming fighters. So I'm excited. And that's all happening also because of that international spotlight that we're seeing with the Inoue versus Fulton. People are now interested in seeing these smaller guys. So I'm ready for that. And I hope Brandon can get that fight soon.
Lo, boxing's always been. What have you done for me lately? One's coming off a win, one's coming off a loss. Does that matter in your opinion? And who do you think will win?
It absolutely matters. Now, how it's going to matter, I'm not sure, because it's going to depend on their personalities. You've got guys who they will come off of a big win, and it's either going to motivate them to get that next belt, or it's going to make them kind of lay back a little bit and not take the next fight as serious. We saw that with Andy Ruiz and Joshua. But then you take a guy like Rey Vargas, who just lost. Now that could either be a deterrent. He's going to be like how MC said, he's not going to win. We've already seen how he is against a pressure fighter like Foster. I think Figueroa obviously is a pressure fighter. He's going to overwhelm him. I really favor Brandon in that fight. But it could also put a chip on his shoulder, make him come back even stronger, and feel like he has a point to prove. So it really depends on personality and what motivates a person. But I feel like it's going to matter, but we're not going to know how it's going to manifest until we see them in the ring.
Boxing wave. Now Ray did lose, but to a completely different style, right? Than Brandon. But will Brandon, in his own way, do you think he can beat Rey Vargas?
I think that Rey Vargas is a completely different fighter from Mark Magsayo. Okay. Mark is very, very explosive, and he has a lot of power. To go back to that fight, and this is what I said on my live, I'm a little concerned about Brandon, and I'm hoping that what happened to Jared Hurd doesn't happen to him. I feel like Hurd has never been the same since the Lara fight. He won the fight and everything, but took a lot of damage in that fight, and he lost his durability in that fight. He beat Mark, but took a lot of punishment in that fight. I just don't know how long he's going to be durable like that. And I feel like as soon as he, just like his brother Omar, starts taking punches and start getting hurt left and right, he won't be that good because his offense is his defense. As far as Rey Vargas, not as big of a puncher as Mark or isn't as explosive, but technically he's much better. He moves well. He's taller. He's better at controlling range. It's a different type of fight. Ray is not going to just be standing right in front of him. Mark is good, but again, he has some technical issues that he needs to work out. I think Mark Magsayo has potential if he actually got the fundamentals right. I think he has potential to be the best at 126, but if he doesn't correct his issues, he'll never get better. I love the fight. I'm still leaning towards Brandon, but I think this fight might be a little bit more difficult. I know Ray is coming off of the loss to Shaki Foster, but I just think Foster was just a completely better boxer than him, and he lost the fight. It is what it is. Figueroa is a different kind of fighter, so we'll see.
Now, styles do make fights, so I just want to go on Ray before I go to Calix. I still think Rey Vargas pulls off the W against Figueroa. I really do. It won't be easy.
I'm not sure.
But I think it's a great fight, by the way. But I just think because of the way momentum's going, like it's hard for people to pick someone coming off a loss sometimes, and it's understandable. You know what I mean? Calix, I mean, he's in line to fight, Vargas, if Vargas is going to move back down. So who do you favor in that fight if it happens?
Y'all hear me good, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, good. Magsayo, to me, is a good barometer for that division, right? Because I think he fits somewhere in the top 10, and if you beat him, you may be a top 5 guy. If you lose to him, you're probably lower than that. He's like a perfect barometer. He provides resistance. Rey Vargas, to me, faced a fresher version, a better version of Magsayo, because Magsayo that was dealing with Figueroa, you could tell he was weight drained big time going into that fight. And speaking of weight, like I felt Figueroa looked fresher and felt fresher at 126 than 122, because at the end of his run at 122, he was looking super drained at weigh-ins as well. So I was interested in this fight because it's a perfect barometer to see if Figueroa is a top 5 guy, like I thought he could possibly be in the division, and I think he's there. I think this is a toss-up fight. It could go either way. 126, we talked about this last month, D-Style. Like, it's a deep division of good fighters. I don't know if there's a great fighter there, but you got a lot of good fighters, and you can make a lot of really good fights in that division. I love that division. This one could go either way, but I tend to lean towards Figueroa's pressure against the longer Rey Vargas. I think he's going to get on the inside, make Rey Vargas fight a fight that's going to be a little uncomfortable for him. And I agree with Wave. Like, I don't read too much into the Shaki Foster loss because he's moving up in weight. There are weight classes for a reason, right? And this was Shaki Foster pushing him back down and saying, look, your awkwardness, your length may work at 126. It's not going to work at 130. I'm pushing you back down. But I think Rey Vargas fits nicely at 126. So I could see it going either way, but I lean slightly Figueroa in that fight.
All right. Make sure you guys jab the like button. By the way, share this on your social media platforms. If you're listening right now, this is the RoundTable 121. Speaking of, because he was mentioned several times because they're kind of in sync with one another. So a former opponent, the guy who actually beat Figueroa in a very close fight, Fulton. He's going to be fighting Inoue. All right. Low, this fight is signed. I believe sealed and delivered. It'll be happening in Japan. What you make of the fight? Are you excited? And who do you favor?
Yeah, I am excited. This fight to me is like, I see it the way that I see Fury and Usyk is like, I like both of them. I want to see both of them win and neither of them lose. You have to give credit to Fulton for going into Inoue's backyard and fighting there. And then you've got to give Inoue credit because yesterday he tweeted something like he was excited to be a challenger again because it had been a while since he had been. And that to me is such an interesting way to look at it because you see guys all the time fighting, oh, who's the A side? They didn't care. Like they wanted to fight. But I'm not even going to pick who I think is going to win because I just don't want to see either of them lose. And for me, that's a heartbreaking decision to make. So don't ask. Move on.
And Boxing Wave, I want to add a caveat to that question. There's not a lot, but some American fight fans asking, why is this fight in Japan? To that, you say what?
It's in Japan because I don't think the fight would have worked out any other way. A lot of guys that's in the PBC or fighting in Showtime, specifically fights that are getting made outside of the two fighters being on the same network. They're going to their battlefield, so that's what it's looking like now. I think you want to know what I personally think. Fulton didn't like the feedback he was getting from that report that came out about him, moving up to fight Brandon in a rematch and all that stuff. And I saw his reaction on Twitter, like, who gave up their belts? Like, I think he tweeted back at someone that got at him, and he's like, I didn't give my belts up yet. What are you talking about? And I think he called out or bus kicked in the door in his office. It's like, nah, I'm taking this fight. So that's what I feel. Fulton still to his word. He's been making interviews very confident and cocky. Like, I see flaws in this guy's game. I think I could beat this guy. I will go to Japan and fight him. And this started maybe roughly 2 years ago, somewhere in 2021. And he stuck to his word. Respect him. I wish I could go to Japan and watch this fight. I want to see this fight so bad. And I think, just like Lo said, I don't want to see neither one of these guys lose.
You're Mr. Worldwide. Like, you can't make it in Japan.
I love both of them, and I feel like, Inoue to me is the slightly better fighter, but I think if he is going to lose, this will be the fight that I think he would lose, in my opinion, if he is going to lose.
Man. MC, the fight was announced. What do you make and who do you favor?
This is another great fight added to our summer or spring, whatever. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not going to pick yet. I will pick when it comes down to it, But I think right now there's a lot to be seen. I want to see how Inoue looks now that he's moving up. This is his first fight. And guess what? I love what Lo said. I didn't know that he said that, but it just goes to show you what type of humble mentality I think Inoue has. And I think that's one of the things that makes him so special. I don't know a lot about Stephen Fulton's life, personal life and stuff like that. But obviously he's, American. I hope that he wins. I hope that he has a great performance. There's a lot of fights that he can still have after this. So I think that it's going to come down to how the fight goes down, and it's going to be how you lose. No one's going to be upset at Fulton or at Inoue if they don't win. It's going to be as long as it's a great performance and they're both professional about it, we might even end up seeing a, what is it called? A rematch. You know what I'm saying? Just because if the fight is so good and Japan is willing to put it out there again, Fulton might just have to do that again. So I'm excited to see it, and I won't pick yet until we get closer to the fight.
Calix, are you ready to pick? Are you excited for this fight? And what do you say to people saying, hey, why is this in Japan? It should be here at the Foxwoods. You know what I mean?
It's in Japan because 17,000 seat arena will be full to the rafters. And it's going to make a huge live gate over there. That's where it belongs. And props to Stephen Fulton Jr. First, I want to echo a couple of things that were said. Wave hit it on the head. I saw it too. Fulton did not like the reaction. He read the room. And this is what fighters should do. He read the room. They put feelers out there. Fulton versus Figueroa. It was already reported. Dan Rayfield reported it in Minnesota. And he read the room and he said, no. Because I fully believe Fulton is out there saying, I'm not afraid of Inoue. I want that fight. I already beat Figueroa. Whether people thought it could win, I beat him. All right. I don't need to rematch him. This is the fight I want. He read the room. He delivered the fight. The second thing is, I want this to be the fight where both of their stocks rise. Because to me, both these fighters are what's good about the sport of boxing. This is what this is one of the best, in my opinion, 3 pure fights that can be made in boxing, right? It's I don't want to say the fight Bud versus Errol. I don't want to even say it, but Bivol better BF2 in this one. Like this, to me, this is the one I'm most excited about. This is the one I've been wanting to see. And I thought they were going to marinate the fact that they're doing it now, right out the gate. This is what makes this special. Like there's so many implications. It's a true legacy fight. Like this is Inoue stepping up right off the gate to 122 and saying, I know you're the best guy here. Let's do it. This is him stepping in the dude's living room, putting his feet up on the couch. And then this is Fulton pushing back and saying, no. This is my division. Like you're not going to put your feet on my couch. This is my division. You're not coming in here. Like he's telling his advisor, I'm not moving to 126 with this dude moving into 122 thinking he can take over things. I'm staying here. I'm defending my turf. I'm going to do it on his turf too. All right, I'm going to lay both of my belts on the line on his turf. Let's do this now. And I just love, this is like true alpha stuff right here. This is both dudes going for it and saying, I want my legacy. It's 122 implications. It's pound for pound implications. Fulton Jr. feels like he's been slided on the pound for pound list. He believes he feels like some people don't even have him top 10 pound for pound. He feels like he's top 5. And this is Inoue saying, I'm the dude. Like, I'm number one. I am the dude. If he beats Fulton Jr., look, unless Usyk comes in and shines on Fury, like Inoue is now, if he beats Fulton Jr. at 122, he is number one pound for pound. Usyk will have his shot too if he beats Tyson Fury and becomes undisputed, right? But that's the argument there. You can't deny him 1 or 2 at that point. He's that dude. He's that dude. And he's fighting a 20th title. Like this dude is 19-0 and 16 knockouts in title fights throughout multiple different weight classes. Now he's stepping
in
into
a lower weight class
fighting for 2 belts. And then, by the way, he said if he wins this fight, he has no problems fighting Akhmadaliev for undisputed. Like, what's not to like about this dude?
Well, look, credit to both guys. Babe, Stephen Fulton's going out there and he's saying he's going monster hunting pretty much. He wants to fight the monster in Japan. What do you make of it?
This reminds me of when Andre Ward moved up to light heavyweight and he said, if Sergey Kovalev and I are in the same division, I gotta go see him. And Inoue is doing the same thing, and Fulton obviously is accepting the challenge. To me, Inoue is one of the most efficient fighters I've ever seen. There's not a lot of wasted motion with Inoue. You give him that little bit of a space, and he can find that opening. He threads the needle with punches. I see guys shell up. You hear the excuse of, the guy didn't want to fight. He was moving. He was running from me. He was just earmuffing the whole night. But this guy finds a way to get to you with subtle movement, right? He knows how to create openings and give him that little space, as I said, and he threads the needle. And I think his defense is very underrated because he's got phenomenal footwork. He'll throw a punch and he'll just step around you and he won't be there for the return fire. I think that really goes unnoticed with him. I like Fulton a lot. I think he's a very slick, quick-footed counterpuncher, right? He loves to set traps. And he did that in the Figueroa fight. I thought, he spent some time on the ropes and he tried to set traps for Figueroa. But I think Figueroa, like I said, he always exceeds my expectations. He just does not stop. He blanketed Fulton with pressure. And a lot of people thought he eked out a decision. I actually thought Fulton eked out the decision in that fight. But I was surprised about how close it was. I thought Fulton would thoroughly outbox Brandon, and he did not. So in this fight, the big question, obviously, is going to be the move up in weight. Will the power carry over? I think it will, because this power is freakish power. He just shatters people when he hits them, not only to the head, but to the body as well. So I'm gonna go with Inoue here, but I can see people picking Fulton too. That's just how good Fulton is, with all due respect. But I just think Inoue is that once in a lifetime fighter, and he's special, and I think he's gonna knock out Fulton.
Man,
I'm even gonna stop him.
Look, there's a really good video here on YouTube that kind of compares Inoue to Joe Louis, right? Both great fighters, obviously. That's a hell of a thing to put him on. But and there is a lot of similarities to them. But there was a fighter that gave Joe Louis a lot of problems. His name was Jersey Joe Walcott. How did he give him problems? He was slick, and he had faster feet than him, and he used the whole ring. Okay, that's what Fulton's gonna have to do to win this fight. Fulton cannot go in there, okay, and try to give people the fight of the night. Can I go in there and I try to exchange with Inoue or stay in the pocket with him? He's gonna have to utilize the whole ring. And it may end up being a boring fight or whatever, but that's going to be his pathway to victory. I believe that's what he needs to do. We'll see what his game plan will be. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of energy in that arena, and it's like a different type of energy because it's kind of quiet in Japan, right? You know, but so I don't know. It's going to be interesting, right?
It's a more friendly environment, road environment. It is.
It is, right? But we're going to see. Right, like how this fight plays out. But as of right now, I'm favoring Inoue, obviously, but I think it's going to be a really razor-thin, close fight. And I think the fact that it's in Japan kind of gives Inoue the advantage or whatnot. So,
can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
What exactly outside of, because we probably have all heard the usual, like Inoue hasn't fought anybody, you know, look at these names, they always compare to other people. What exactly in the ring do you think that there's a flaw? Like, what flaw does Inoue actually have that you think that Fulton can expose maybe? Like, what is Fulton seeing? Like, when he says, I can beat this guy, why is he so confident? What is there something that you think that he can do better than Inoue?
I think he believes he'll have like the ability to
size advantage, maybe.
Inoue's punches. I just think he thinks he'll be able to slip the counters of Inoue and counter him. But I believe that's what it is. Whether he can do that or not, I don't know.
One thing that I personally am concerned about Inoue, I think his damaged eye socket. That is one thing that I'm personally I would be concerned about, or maybe something that I would want to look at as far as both corners, right? But that's one thing I.
So Fulton Jr. doesn't have power. We've established that, right? And he can be sped up. Figueroa has established that, so that's why I give Inoue the edge. But when I see 3-1 odds, I can't envision anybody being. I know Inoue is special, like 3-1 odds, or Fulton Jr. 3-1 underdog. Like, to me, that's undervalued. Like, I don't see it. But when I see something Fulton can take advantage of, he is the naturally bigger guy. So I think he's going to chop the fight up. I think he's going to try to make it ugly. I think he's going to do a lot of tactical clinching, like a lot of
holding, clinching, moving.
Yeah.
Holding, clinching, working on the inside, like keeping one arm free, working on the inside, and try to win rounds that way, because he knows, he has to know he's not going to stop Inoue. He has to know that. So the key is to get the 7 rounds.
Make him uncomfortable.
7 rounds in the bank. And I think he's going to ugly it up. That's what
I mean, he had those fights, the Leo and the Figueroa fight.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys that's the kind of fight they like. And he was able to still pull off wins against those guys.
Here's the difference, though. So I get your point, Calix, but Figueroa is a guy that was like training himself basically to make weight. He's a big, and on fight night, he's a big dude. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Anyway's a guy, this is what, his 4th weight class now? You know what I mean? Yeah. So he's moved up several weight classes. He's a smaller guy in this fight.
5th.
Well, it's his 4th. It will be his 4th if he wins, but he skipped a division.
Yeah,
he skipped 115.
So he's gone up 5 divisions basically. So there you go.
But that's what I'm saying. Like Fulton Jr., when I look at it, he's undervalued there because he's already proven he can beat other people at their own style.
Yeah. Like, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, Inoue is not going to be able to bully him around the way I believe Figueroa did, right?
I agree. Yeah.
He's not going to be able to do that. Now, Fulton, he grit his teeth and he fought back, right? But there's just different challenges. There's things that Inoue brings that Figueroa didn't bring. Like, he's just more explosive. He's a sharper puncher. There's just a higher IQ in the ring, in my opinion. So it's going to be a high IQ boxing chess match. That's what we're going to have. And the question is look, if Inoue does to Fulton what he did to all the other guys, where he's got him like he doesn't even want to throw because he's going to get counted. I don't even know what to say to that. Like that would be amazing. All right,
That's when we got to start
he's gonna
another
live up to his
conversation.
name. He's gonna live up to his name.
But that's when we start. If he shines on Fulton that way, that's when we start another conversation. Like that's we start a special conversation.
Yeah, and then I want to just say this. So there's a lot of people that believe in Stephen Fulton. Nothing wrong with that, obviously, right? I think he's a great fighter myself, but there's way too many people saying things like, "Oh, Inoue hasn't fought anybody; he's going to get exposed." Because you're taking away.
That's the only thing I've heard. That's why I said it like that when I asked the question. I was like, outside of people that say that, because no one goes into detail about his skills. They say, "Who are these guys before he beat an old?"
Donaire.
That's the only argument that I hear about him. That's it.
I mean, Maloney, he shut him out. I mean, I just like he's just. All I know is that if you're a Fulton fan, don't take away from his potential victory by saying he's going to expose a hype job, right?
I've said this about Crawford and Bud for years. Like, stop saying that the other guy didn't beat anyone.
Right.
Because when they win, the guy you like wins is going to be like, oh, he beat this person. Yeah, but you just said that either Crawford didn't beat anyone or Spence beat this guy when, you know how it is. You know,
of course. It's crazy. Now, there's a big fight this weekend, right? Big fight. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to start with you, Calix. Tim Tszyu, Tony Harrison. What do you think of the build-up? What do you think of the fight? Who's going to win in Sydney on Saturday night?
Once again, it's one of those fights that I wish the best for both. That's what makes it tough. I want both their stock because both are behaving like fighters. Harrison's going on the road. And you could say, well, what options does he have? I get that. And Tim Tszyu is taking on a challenge with Mel's injury. So I look at this. I wish the best for both. Stylistically, Harrison presents a challenge for Tszyu here. But at the same time, the thing that makes this tough for me to pick is both fighters, their inactivity level, because they're both coming off of 12-month layoffs, 11 months, and then a 12-month layoff before that. And then with Harrison, you were dealing with a 2-month, not 1 month, 1 year, and then 1 year before that, and then 2 years before that for Harrison. He's a guy who's fought, two times the past 3 or 4 years. So there's a lot of inactivity there. I wonder how sharp he's going to be. I'm tending to lean towards what you're saying, D-Style. Like, this is going to be Tim Tszyu's coming out party. I know you feel strongly that Tszyu is going to stop Harrison, if I'm getting that right. And I'm starting to lean towards that. Ironically, Ricky Hatton's coming out party was who? Costa Tszyu. Tim Tszyu, his coming out party might be Harrison. This may be Calzaghe styling on Jeff Lacey, like that type of fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, we went into the fight expecting a good battle back and forth, but as the fight goes on, I think Tim Tszyu takes over the fight. And I'm battling towards, will it be a Tim Tszyu late stoppage or will it be a clear-cut decision for him against Harrison? That's what I'm battling with right now. But I feel strongly that Tim Tszyu is going to win this fight. And that's no disrespect to Harrison because I like him.
MC, Sydney, Saturday night. Who's winning this fight?
I'm actually going with Harrison. I think he's got a great chance of pulling this off. I think that personally, I don't think Tim has had a big fight. I think that this is going to be a lot of pressure. He's also coming home. So if anything, I would have won my first big fight to not be at home, right? So that could go either way. I'm like I said, I think Harrison might win UD unless, of course, Tim can knock him out. I think that's kind of the only way. That's the only way Tony's going to go down, I think, by a knockout. But I'm rooting for Tony, and I don't know. We'll just have to wait and watch. I'm excited. A lot of boxing this weekend again, so it will be great.
Okay. All right. Joe Habib, Saturday night. It's Tim Tszyu, Tony Harrison.
I like Tony Harrison a lot. I think he's a very good fighter. I think he's very athletic. I think he's got quick feet. He's a counter puncher, but he's also a good outboxer too. He really knows how to work behind his jab. He's really good at gauging distance. He can line you up with the right hand very, very well. He lands those sneaky punches straight up the middle. He knows how to time you. When you come towards him, a lot of times he'll beat you to the punch and he'll get off first. And he's done that. He did it against Charlo when Charlo was trying to like load up a little bit, and he was a little bit wide with his punches in that fight. Tim Tszyu, once again, he's not like that. He doesn't load up. He's a very quick-fisted guy himself. He doesn't really telegraph things. He knows how to feint. He's a very good boxer all around. He's just not that overly flashy guy. He's not as athletic as Tony Harrison is. He may not have as quick feet as Tony Harrison, but Tim Tszyu knows his strengths and weaknesses, and he knows how to camouflage his weaknesses. So he knows he's not the fastest guy in the world. So what he tries to do is he tries to creep up on you a little bit. He knows he doesn't want to chase you. He creeps up on you, throws a feint before he comes in, and he'll shorten up his shots. He's a really good inside fighter. He's a good mid-range fighter, and I think he's going to have to really shorten up the distance in this fight. And we've seen Tony Harrison try to stay on the outside and box and outpoint guys, but for whatever reason, he just can't continuously have to do that. It seems like he exerts a lot of energy trying to keep the bigger, stronger pressure guy off him. And as the fight wears on, he tends to slow down. He's done it 3 times, and I think he's going to do it this time too. Because I hate to sound redundant and say something I already said, but Tim Tszyu another one of those guys who I think is an efficient fighter. He's not a guy that wastes much either. You know what I mean? And Terrell Gausha is a very slick boxer as well. And he presented problems for Tim Tszyu, but Tim Tszyu solved the problems, right? He solved the problems. So I just think Tim Tszyu will wear Tony Harrison down, and I think he'll stop him with a body shot in round 9.
Hey, okay. There we go. Tim Tszyu versus Tony Harrison, Wave in Sydney. What do you got?
Tony Harrison's going to start out fast as he normally does. I don't think anyone that Tony's even lost to was winning the fight, within the first 5 rounds or so. Conditioning is Tony's biggest problem. Whatever he's doing, whatever way he's winning, and then he starts fading a little bit. And he becomes, I often compare him to Kalen Plant as in defensive fighter, but once he starts to burn out, he's easier to hit. Problem with Tony is that all 3 of his fights that he's lost, they were by KO. All 3. Tim is inexperienced. Yeah, he hasn't fought the greatest fighters. You look at Jeff Horn on his resume. You see that on a resume, and then you actually watch the fight, and you can see that Jeff Horn really had nothing for him. It was just a wrestling match, and he lost that fight. I would say that what's his name? The last fighter he fought.
Gausha?
Yeah. Gausha is probably the closest to Tony. The problem is, Gausha, who I don't think is nearly as talented as Tony. Gausha lost 3 fights against 3 good fighters, but never been stopped. Tony loses, he gets stopped. He got stopped by Willie Nelson. I remember watching the fight on the night of the fight. It's just not only that, but I brought up that Tony likes to signal when he's hurt. He gets hit with a good shot. He's waving you on. He's telling you to keep coming forward. It's kind of ridiculous. So I'm leaning towards Tim Tszyu. I think if Tony wins the fight, it's because whatever he's doing early continues to work against the more inexperienced fighter, and Tim just never finds a rhythm in the fight. And Tony just keeps boxing and moving and boxing and jabbing and stuff like that. But I'm expecting Tony to slow down, then starts to get hit more, puts his back against the ropes, and at some point, Tim is going to be all over him. Just not sure if it's going to be by stoppage. I'm leaning towards the stoppage, but I'm just not sure. But I'm leaning barely towards Tszyu. I do think it's a 50 fight, though.
All right. Low. It's going to be a big fight in Sydney. Who do you got?
To me, I don't know. Like, I don't know. But I feel like Tony Harrison, to me, at 154 is probably the most skilled fighter. I feel like I would hope he's learned his lesson now on the conditioning. And I think him, fighting in Australia, that's not going to affect his mentality. He's a very mentally strong, mentally sharp, not just fighter, but person. So I feel like that's not going to play a factor into it. Really, what it's going to come down to is conditioning. And then you look at like how his past year and a half has been. Yeah, he's not been in the ring, but he has been with his fighter Alicia Baumgardner, who just became undisputed. Most of 3 of the 4 belts that she got were on the road. That has to be a big motivation to him. In fact, he said it was. So I feel like those type of things, he may have learned his lesson on the conditioning. That's kind of, if we see a conditioned, top-notch, in shape Tony Harrison, I think we're going to see a Charlo Harrison trilogy potentially at the end of the year, beginning of next year.
Okay. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think, just like Boxing Wave said, Tony's going to look like $1 million sitting right there on a suitcase for the first 4 or 5 rounds. And then he's going to run out of gas. Because I don't know what it is. There's just some fighters that never fix it, right? Even great fighters, right? De La Hoya never fixed his conditioning problems, right? He gutted through it and grit his teeth and finished some of those fights, but he, like, everyone always knew in the second half De La Hoya wasn't the same. Like, that was just like a known thing, right? Everyone knew Jermaine Taylor in the last 4 rounds was going to be hanging on for dear life. Everybody just knew Pascal after 4 rounds. Hopkins kept telling him, "You're a 4-round fighter." He said it to his face, and he said, "Do something about it. Prove me wrong." Couldn't do it, right? So I just think Harrison, whatever it is, somewhere around rounds 5 or 6, is not going to be able to match the conditioning of Tszyu, right? He's not going to be able to match it. I think Harrison's trying to get in the head of Tszyu. I don't know if he's been successful or not. He's been saying all the right things in terms of questioning him, saying, "You're just where you're at." It's the typical stuff, right? You're where you're at because of your father, because of your name. You took the elevator, I took the stairs. You know what I mean? You had it. You started on third base. I didn't. I had to go on bat to earn and steal a base to get on third, right? So I had it that one, but nonetheless, that's just what he's saying, right? But here's the thing: I've had the privilege of asking Tszyu a couple questions before, and I actually did ask him the question about his father. I asked him the question about how do you balance that? How do you balance like embracing your father but like being your own man? And he was open about it. Tszyu that's not going to work on Tszyu. Telling him he's just where he's at because of his dad doesn't work, because Tszyu will be the first one to tell you, my dad's last name had its perks. That's my first fight was on pay-per-view. That's why I had the opportunities I had, right? But he was also the first one to say, I need those big fights to step away from my dad's shadow. And he's shown and proved. He wanted the Charlo fight. Didn't happen because of Charlo's injury. Even Tony Harrison himself is saying, I wouldn't have done this. I would have just waited till Charlo got better and then fought him. I wouldn't have fought a guy like me, okay, on the lead up. Tony even said, I wouldn't even have fought Tszyu before I got my shot against Charlo, right? But Tim's just doing it for other. He's doing it because he's got a chip on his shoulder, and that exact thing people keep saying, "Oh, you're just where you are because of your dad." He needs to overcompensate a little bit and do the things that other fighters aren't willing to do, like take on a Tony Harrison when he doesn't have to, and he already has an undisputed title shot right there waiting for him. That's why he's doing it, right? I think it's going to overwhelm him. And here's another thing. Joe, I asked you this the other day. What did Mayweather Sr. always say about timing and speed?
It's the most important thing. Timing beats speed.
Timing beats speed. And Tim Tszyu, ladies and gentlemen, I will proclaim right now, he's one of the best at timing. You could put Inoue. I don't know who. There's a couple more guys they could put up there, right? But he's a top 5 in the sport when it comes to timing. That kid could time. Tim Tszyu is a hell of a fighter when it comes to timing. And I'll say one more thing. Tony keeps saying things like, you haven't fought anybody. You didn't fight in the United States like I did. I had tougher opposition. Let me say this. If Jeff Horn's a good win for Crawford, it's a good win for Tim Tszyu, as far as I'm concerned. Right? So like I'm just saying.
But it is smart of him to say this stuff, though.
It is smart.
You want to, as MC in the ring said, he's got a lot of pressure fighting in Australia. Put more pressure on him. Put the last name pressure on him. I'd be doing the same thing, right? I'd be putting a lot of pressure on him with that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Hey, shout out to Charles Edward Cheese with the cheese. $200. Hey,
He got his taxes back.
Man, he just came out here like he showed up with the cheese. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
He's celebrating the Ryan in town. We're all happy.
Edwards cheese. Man, I'll let him pick a round table topic if he wants. You know what I mean? Right now.
He knows it's your
Shout out to Charles Edward Cheese, man.
That's right, man.
He knows it's your birthday tomorrow.
Waves channel, too.
He knows it's your birthday tomorrow. That's why.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, man. You did tell me that.
You have to bring it up. But it is what it is.
How old are you going to be? 25?
Yes, 25 years old. But with that said, guys, I have Tim winning by knockout. That's what I got. Stop it. TKO. He's not going to knock him out cold. It's TKO stoppage. And maybe Harrison protests or whatnot. But I agree with Calix. I think it is mind games. I think he's put it in Tim's head and hoping maybe Tim is out of character. But, man, Tim's well schooled, man. I'm just saying. Okay. Like he's like cold as ice, just like his dad was. So, and it's crazy watching him fight too, because it's like watching his dad fight when you watch him fight. You know what I mean?
Did you guys see the face-off?
Yes, I did. The Fox one, right?
I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't like the host. He didn't really get involved like that. I don't know.
You didn't like how he was kind of repeating what, like, because Harrison would say something to Tim, and then the host would be like, "How do you feel about that? What he just said?" And it's just like, what are you, the therapist?
Conversation like that. He knows how to respond. He's got social skills. Trust me. Let him do the work.
Just turn around and look at the guy. He knows what to say. But I think there's something that he said. Well, real quick, there's something he said that Tim said that I don't know if it got under Tim's skin or not. I don't know, but he goes like this. Man, Tim, you got the best management in the game. Man, your management team is good. They got your undisputed title shot without having to fight anybody. Man, they're good at what they do. So and then Tim was like, "No, what do you mean? I got there. Me. No, it was your management. Your management did that. No, man, I had to do that. No, you won the fights, but your management put you there. You know, your management did it."
It's mind games, and he's really, really good at it.
He's going to win. Watch.
That's like Joe's thing. He's doing the Joe Habib. He was gaslighting him. All your management is amazing. Man.
You're such a great host, D-Star.
Oh, man, come on.
You're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Hey, somebody mentioned it. I forget who it was, but I'm sure they'll bring it up. But they brought up Jermell Charlo's name. Okay, we're going to start with you, Lo. I think it was you, Lo. Is Jermell going to remain at junior middle to face the winner of Zur Harrison, or will the PBC trio that is Jermell to 168, Jermell to 160, Spence to 154, will that happen instead, or does it depend on who wins this fight?
I think it will depend on who wins the fight. Also, I'm not too quick to say whether the Charlo brothers will move up or not. I really don't. I don't know. Spence, yeah, I think it's about time he moves up. And I think it's going to happen sooner or later because we know the other fight that I will not mention is not going to happen. So, I mean, what else is he going to do at that weight? He might as well move up, and I think he knows that. The Charlo brothers, though, I don't know. I'm not sure. At least at 154, I think that he may stick around just to see who wins. Other than that, I don't know.
Okay, all right. MC, what would you guess? Is the trio all going to move up, or is Jermell going to stick around and fight the winner of this fight?
Well, he's going to stick around because he's actually going to be commentating at the fight this weekend. They're going to have him as a guest commentator. So I think that I'm not really sure if he's going to stick around anymore. He recently posted something like, I've gotten everything that I want. So I know that Earl Spence is going to be fighting at 154 soon, right? So we're already kind of starting to see that movement within not only the brothers, the Charlo brothers, but also with the camp itself, right? So I think that he does move up to 160. 160 needs some action anyways. There's not a lot of stuff going on there. So I think that's a great weight class for him to go into. And I think his brother will also be moving up. I think that was one of the announcements that they mentioned today during the press conference. Steven Espinosa said that there will be other fights coming out soon. And I think that the Charlo fight is part of that. I think that the David Morrell is part of that, but whatever, right? Okay, so he does move up. But I actually think that the trilogy with Tony can also happen at 160. It doesn't mean just because he's moving up, that doesn't mean that Tony can't move up later on for that fight, right? And what a better good fight to do a moving up fight with than someone that you've already fought. That to me makes it a little bit easier to figure out moving up to a bigger weight class. So I think he will move up.
All right. Shout out to the ladies, by the way. This is Women's International Day or something like that, right? So shout out. That's why I did the show on Wednesday. You know I'm just saying.
Yeah. You didn't even know the name of it just now. It sounds like you really
said whatever
It's women's week.
Whatever day you guys got.
Yeah, it's a big day. Like, what do you mean? Like what?
It's just Women's Day. You don't have to add fluff to it. Come on.
Okay.
Keep the wives and kids at home, like Tank said.
Hey,
plus, it's your birthday tomorrow. That's why you're doing the show today. Cut it
okay. What are you doing? This guy here. Hey, boxing.
We have to blow up the spot, please.
If you had a crystal ball and you had to guess, what do you think is going to happen here? Does it depend who wins? How do you see it?
Dude, I think this whole mix-up between Jamal, and Spence is not going exactly how things had planned between them three. Okay? Jamal's still at 160, and he's been out of boxing. He has some personal issues going on, obviously. And I don't know what's going on with Jamal. I honestly don't, and I'm just tossing this out there. I don't know if this is true or not. I don't think Jermell has been a fan of some of the things that Bud has said and the talks about him and moving up and, Spence moving up. And I honestly don't think he likes the kind of comments that we're getting. I think Jermell was supposed to then move up. I think after the Castano fight, I thought that was a great time to move up. Sticking around right now, what exactly is he sticking around for at 154? You beat Castano in a rematch fight. I don't think Tszyu is a fight that keeps you at 154. I don't think even Fedor is a fight that keeps you at 154. what exactly are you sticking around at 154 right now for? You know, especially because Spence is, I think it's clear that Spence wants to be at 154. And everything is just, I don't know. I think a lot of it is based on those three. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know at this point. It's totally unpredictable. But I think Jermell was supposed to move up after the Castano rematch. And being that he's not, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't even think it's really about Tszyu. I think it's really about what's going on with that camp over there between the two brothers and then Spence and Jermell. I don't know what happens. I think it's 50-50. He may move up, but his brother is up there. But his brother only holds one belt. I think Jermell would move up if there was an opportunity to fight like a Triple G or something like that. But I really don't know what's going on with these guys.
All right. Joe, same question to you. Are the triplets moving up, or is Jermell going to stick around and fight the winner here?
I actually think they're all moving up. And I remember, just to piggyback off of what MC said, I do remember Jermell did say, what do I have left to do here? What's the sense of paying all these sanctioning fees by being undisputed? So he didn't seem too enthused about holding on to all the belts. I have the feeling he's going to move up to 160 and fight Carlos Adames. I think Carlos Adames will be elevated to the full champion, WBC champion at middleweight, and I think he'll end up fighting him. And I do think that Jermell will move up and fight Demetrius Andrade at 168. I have a feeling that fight's going to be next, because I did hear Steven Espinosa say that Jermell will be fighting in the summer, and it's going to be against someone big. And I know that Demetrius Andrade had thrown that name out there, Jermell Charlo as well. So I do think all three of them are going to move up, and I do not anticipate Jermell staying at 154.
Okay. Calix, same question here.
D-Style, 626. Do you know what that number is? 626. That's
how long Maul hasn't fought.
It's been that many days since Maul fought. And he's still got the belt. He's still squatting on the belt. So what does that tell us? I think he's staying at middleweight. I think they're going to.
That's also how long it's been since beat me in a debate. But other than that.
So why hang on to the belt for 626 days if you're not going to fight at middleweight? So I think the fight's going to be at middleweight in June. I don't know who the fight's going to be, but as Wave said, he's got one of the 4 belts. So that's not, we saw the Klitschko brothers for years, double-headed monster at heavyweight, and boxing fans didn't call for these two dudes to fight. Like, people are understanding, to me, too understanding of the brothers not fighting if they're in the same division. We've already been over that, right? But Maul staying at middleweight, why is that stopping Mel from moving up to middleweight? Like, what is that narrative? He's sitting on one belt, and he's not unifying anything. He's not even defending his belt.
Yeah.
So,
and they both were champs at 154.
Correct. So,
maybe one of them wanted to become disputed and the other one didn't.
So,
nah, they're not in each other's way.
I think they made, if I think my way through this, I think they made a calculated decision to stick around for Tszyu and Tszyu only, because they're not going to fight Spence, right? That fight's not going to happen. Spence moving up to 154. And they might be looking at what is there at 160. Like, there's nothing there at 160. There's just nothing there. So maybe we stick around at 154, Danny Garcia in the future. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is, but there's not much of a plan going on. It just seems like. So I think they both move up eventually, but I don't know if it's going to be in 2023. I tend to think it's not.
Okay. Yeah, I just have this feeling that, one, I do think that he sticks around if Tim wins. If Harrison wins, I don't think Jermell sticks around. I think he says, I already knocked this guy out. I'm done. I'm out. I think that's what he'll do, to be honest with you. But we'll see. Obviously, I don't know if anybody's asked Harrison that. Like, yo, if you win, you really think he's gonna stick around? And I don't know. Like to MC's point, if they've asked him, would you chase him to 160? If you beat Tszyu and he goes to 160, will you go up there with him? Right? I think that's a question for the media out there. If you want to ask them, you know what I mean. But we'll see what happens with that. I think the triplets are going to move up, and Tszyu's teams are already said, well, we'll welcome a Spence fight. They think it's a bigger fight, so that they don't care either way. They'll do that fight. So we'll see. The only thing about Undisputed I want to say is this, and what makes this Undisputed of the 4-belt era different to Undisputed champions of the past. Undisputed champions of the past, especially when there was just one belt, obviously they were Undisputed, they were defending champions. Like they defend their title. Now it's become like a trophy, and then you move on. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, all right, well, I'm out. You know, like I accomplished it. I'm good. Peace out. So I do want to give credit to Devin Haney, who became Undisputed, and he'll be defending his Undisputed crown against Lomachenko. I think that's something we don't see Undisputed champions do. Like, I'm just saying.
That's what I've been saying. Like, I tend to like the idea of an Undisputed champion sticking around in the division. Yeah. Now, they made it unsustainable, though, because as Josh Taylor said, they said, I'm paying 11% of my fight purse for sanctioning fees. Like, how do I defend? How do that
has to be fixed.
And, you know what has to happen? I like Haney sticking around. I like Canelo sticking around. I mean, I like these guys defending.
I just think, and Joe said this before, we know who the Undisputed champion is. Like, we know it's Josh Taylor. Does he have to be holding all the belts for us to know he's the Undisputed champion? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just how I feel about it. You know what I mean?
To me, Undisputed is, I mean, and this is just my definition of what Undisputed is. It's a designation to me, you know. So,
yeah. Hey, you redeemed yourself. There you go. See what I mean? Like, you came back full circle. You know what I mean? But let's go ahead and proceed here. Look, we're going to do this thing. We're going to go through each continent. There are 7 continents. Antarctica doesn't count. Now, I am going to get some. I am going to get some residency in Antarctica. All right, so I could be the best fighter out of Antarctica. Those pencil neck scientists don't got shit on me. I'm just saying I'll be the best out of Antarctica. I just want to put that out there. Okay, it's just too damn cold out there, so I can't like live there. You know, because I'll die of the cold. But I'll claim it. Does that make sense? No, but I'm going to start with Africa because it's like the hardest one because there's not a lot there, okay? And I'm going to give my name. You guys can co-sign, or if you have another name, that's fine. There's not exactly an Corte out there right now. Like, it is what it is. But I'm going to say that the best fighter out of Africa right now is Nakathila, who knocked out our guy from Mexico. What's his name again?
Co-sign.
He knocked him out, and I can't even remember his name. Valdez knocked him out. What's his name?
I can't think of his name right now.
Yo, that's how bad he knocked him out.
I can't think of his name.
Burchell.
Yeah, so Nakathila, that's who I have for Africa, but Calix.
See what happens, fighters lose.
You knocked him out so bad you forgot him.
Jesus Christ. And look, I had it on the notes. It's crazy.
It's slim pickings, right? Because, I mean, I watched Nakathila fight against Shakur Stevenson, and he didn't look all that great. But it's Shakur, right? It's Shakur.
Of course, yeah. So
it's slim pickings. I mean, you could go Makabu too, right? I mean, Makabu, I think
he's better than Coleman.
Well, there you go. That's something that Calix has to think about. What do you got? Who's the king of Africa?
Right now, I would say, based off that win, it's tough. Coleman's fighting.
I think he would have knocked out.
Damn.
Do you think he beats Nakathila? Comey right now at 135. It's a close fight.
So you got to pick a name, Calvin.
Knocked out Burchell as well if they have 4.
Yeah,
true. Only one person can sit on the Iron Throne. No one's going to sit on. No one's going to sit on anybody's lap on the Iron Throne. Like you can't have 2.
I picked Coleman, so that's why I'm only throwing that out there.
Okay, all right. Lo, who do you got? Africa.
I'm gonna agree with Wave and Calix. I think you said this too. I'm sorry, I zoned out. Comey.
Comey, okay.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, what do you got?
Isaac Dogbo.
Oh shit!
That's
like
not. That's not.
Dog Bay.
It's not a horrible pick.
I call him Dogbo.
You can still say Makabu. I'm gonna throw another name out there, Makabu. Even though he just lost the battle with Jack, Makabu is still in that mix too.
For me, it
I
was
don't think so,
between
Calix.
Comey and Macabo. Even with the loss, I was still thinking Macabo.
I like Dogbo better.
Okay. All right. Okay. MC, who's the king? Who's sitting in the Iron Throne in Africa?
I don't know, to be honest with you, but I would have to say out of all the choices, my vote will go towards Dogbe. Dogbe, is that the right way to say it?
Yeah, I just tease. I call him Dogbo because the West way it's spelled, but it's really Dogbe.
Oh, I gotta look this up now.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, so Dogbe. I'm gonna go with Nakathila. Actually, he lost to Shakur, but I mean.
Yeah,
I think Shakur. I think Shakur beats Haney and Lomachenko. That's how good I think Shakur is. So
that was one of the fights Shakur had that he was really, really safe and didn't want to really engage with Nakatila. He won every round almost, but it was like he was playing it super safe. Like people were complaining about that performance the whole time.
Me.
Dogbay's never been thoroughly beaten. He's always in every fight.
And he's in a hard weight class. That's a pretty hard weight class. I mean, I know.
I would say Navarrete thoroughly beat him. That's me. You know.
I like all those fighters that were mentioned.
Bad judging. Okay.
All right. So that's that. We need a night Corte. You know, I'm just saying. You know, we need like
Isn't Josh Clottey still active? I think he's
Josh Clottey. Well, he came out and said
Zolani Tete. He was a beast.
We need a Zoom analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, Africa. Like, there's got to be somebody out there, you know. But, MC, we're gonna go with North America here. This is a big one. Canada, USA, Mexico, Caribbean, the whole nine.
MC's like, what's this geography class? I didn't study for this test.
Who's the best? Who's the king?
Guys, what is Mexico Central America?
No, Mexico North.
That's North America.
That's what makes it even more harder. You're combining United States and
Mexico is part of Latino America, but if we go by continents, it's North America.
Correct.
So I thought it was between.
This one's an easy one. This one's an easy one, MC.
Crawford and Canelo.
Okay,
go for your favorite fighter.
Terrence Crawford.
Okay.
That is my favorite fighter.
There you go.
Terrence Crawford sitting in the Iron Throne of North America. Joe Habib. Who do you got?
I'm gonna take D-Style's favorite fighter. I'm gonna say, oh, you know what?
Swerve me.
I like Terrence Crawford too, but I'm gonna say I'll say Canelo Alvarez. I'll take your favorite fighter.
All right, Canelo. All right, Low. Who sits on the Iron Throne, North America?
You know, if it was just like United States, I would say Crawford. But North America. If Andy Cruz was a pro, I'd say Andy Cruz. But I'm going to say Canelo.
Man, Canelo will snatch him off that throne. Like, get off my throne. You know what I mean? Hey, wait, what do you got? North America.
It was between Crawford and Canelo. I'm going with Crawford.
Crawford. Okay. Calix, who sits on the Iron Throne, North America.
Both great picks, but I'm going Canelo based off of achievement and activity. That's the main thing with me, activity, accomplishments as of recently, just way outpacing. He's outpacing Crawford 3-1 as far as activity the past few years. So I got to go. I value that highly. I'm going to go Canelo.
Okay. I am going to go with Saul Canelo Alvarez as the king of North America. Not only the best fighter, but the biggest draw, the money maker, everything. You know what I mean? I was going to put that out there. All right. Calix, we're going to go back to you. South America. We'll count Central America as South America as well, by the way.
You count Central America?
Yes. South America.
See, I was gonna say Brian Castano because he's the first one that came to mind, and you just got another $200.
all said what Jesus goes.
Happy birthday to you.
Spence is sitting on an iron throne. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Okay. Shout out to SPENCE. Give him his respect. Errol Spence. Shout out to you, brother. I appreciate it.
Spence. But, I'm going to go.
You know, Spence could rule South America too. Shit. Like,
I didn't think about this beforehand. So Castaño is the one that comes to mind as far as South America. But I know there's some Central American lower weight class guys that I can't figure out yet. So I know I'm going to regret this pick.
Okay. Who do you got? Let me throw a name out there. I still think he's the king of the whole place, but Chocolatito Estrada, I'll still say he's a king.
Yeah, Chocolatito. I changed my pick. Chocolatito.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But maybe Wave has somebody else. So Wave, what do you got?
Chocolatito is South America?
Central America. We're including Central with South America.
Well, if that's the case, then I have Chocolatito. I had Brian Castano before that.
Man, everybody's just stealing it from.
You know what it is? The Argent. That's my dad. He's listening. Argentina got it wrapped up, man, and I didn't even think of Chocolatito. I would have to say him.
If he had beaten Jake Paul, you guys could have said, Silva. But low South America and Central America. What do you got?
Well, I mean, you kind of can't argue Chocolatito, so.
Okay. All right. Babe, what do you got?
I already had Castaño because I want to make it specific. South America. I don't want to include Central America.
Okay.
I want to be specific.
Oh, you're just gonna not count them just because you don't like them?
You said you didn't know your geography. Like now you're choosing not to ignore it.
No, I said you're giving MC a geography lesson that she didn't study. Me, I know my geography.
But I was the one that said Nicaragua whenever y'all said Central America. So
yeah, you got it. Don't listen to Babe.
You redeemed yourself. You redeemed yourself.
But MC South America, who do you got?
Well, South America is, I would have to say, maybe that girl. I don't know. We're just doing males, but that girl, Yoka.
You could do females.
Valle Yoka. She's pretty good too. She's from Costa Rica, and of course, Argentina. They have a lot of fighters. Brian Castaño is one of them, but actually, Martinez, who fights in the 112, I believe, Puma Martinez. He's actually really, really good too. And he's supposed to be having a fight eventually with Bam Bam. So I do like Martinez, and Central America will be Chocolatito.
Okay.
There is an up and coming Nicaraguan guy that fought on his undercard, and he's supposed to be pretty good.
Man, she's educating Babe right now. You know what I mean? Look at that.
You know what?
Stepped it up. She stepped it up.
We forget good. I forgot about Nanshinga. Savanati Nashinga for South
Alex,
Africa.
you already went. You can't have consolation prizes here. You already went.
Won the IBF vacant title at light flyweight. I forgot about him. He would be my pick for Africa.
Look, I would change mine to that too.
So once again, shout out to Charles Ortiz. I appreciate the support, brother. He says Spence. Shout out to Bruce Goss in the chat, by the way. Look at that. Taking that man to school. This is back to it, Alan. We're gonna go back to MC Asia. Now, Asia, that includes like Russia, you know what I mean? All the Asian countries, Philippines, all that. Who do you got, MC?
Inoue.
Okay. Man. Beeb?
It's a no-brainer for me. I'd have to say Inoue.
You guys sure that this is a no-brainer? Okay, low?
I'm saying Triple G, and I'm thinking he's starting to do this, get up out of that chair, and I think Inoue is kind of starting to sit down a little bit, but Triple G's still there. He just wants, he's still in that throne.
Wow, okay.
But he's
Boxing Wave.
Inoue was a no-brainer for me. Inoue.
What?
Yeah, man.
I just for the record, I disagree with all of y'all, but okay. Inoue, okay. Alex?
I know who you're gonna say.
Who would he? Bivol would be second here, but Inoue is the clear.
Bivol is second. Bebo, come on.
That's D-Style's
Bebo
first.
second. Now, there are a lot of dudes we could pick from
He loves
Japan.
Bebo.
There's no doubt. But are you still gonna say Manny? Is that what you're gonna do? Are you still gonna go with Manny?
No, he's gonna say Bivol.
He's coming back. He's coming back.
Manny was the ruler of Asia for a long time, right? But I think after look, name me one win that Inoue has bigger than a Canelo win. Anybody? Go ahead.
No one. Come on, man. We already know. I know where you were going when you.
Bivol beat his favorite fighter. Bivol beat his favorite fighter. He has to go with Bivol.
Bivol is the king of Asia.
Body of work, D-Style.
I personally think if Inoue and Canelo was the same size, I think Inoue would be.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Bivol, I mean that dude. He is Asian. Like he's got that Russian blood, Korean blood. Beat Canelo. He's the president of Mexico, by the way. Okay, I mean, what isn't he right now? I just think I'm gonna say Bivol. Sorry.
He needs to go see Arthur. He needs to go see the other guy out there who his name is Arthur.
Arthur Beterbiev is up there too. No doubt about it. But look, if Bivol beats Arthur Beterbiev, you guys got to put him on the Iron Throne in Asia.
No, even if Inoue beats Fulton Jr.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How many fighters that's 168 and lower do you think if they were the same size would beat Canelo? There's two specific for me.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem I've always had with that question.
Spence.
No, let me answer this though.
Yeah, go.
I've said this to D-Style, and he screamed and yelled at me one day. We got in a heated argument about this. I said, if you say if this guy was this size, they would have a different style. So if you say if Tyson Fury was Bernard Hopkins' size, he wouldn't fight the same because he'd be smaller. You see what I'm saying? So if it's hard to say what someone would do if they're the same size because your style is based on your a lot on your size, right?
That's true.
So that's the thing.
You just gave a heavyweight example, though. Heavyweight is a whole different place. That's
true.
We don't compare it because these guys are too big.
But here's the thing: you take a guy who's an outside fighter, right? Like say Michael Nunn, he's 6'1", he's a super middleweight, right? He was a middleweight, super middleweight, right? If you make him Canelo size, is he going to fight the same way? You know what I'm saying? So you base your style based off of your physical attributes.
No, that's true.
That's why I always say. That's why I always hated that. Oh, what if they were all the same size? Then they would fight differently. They wouldn't have the same. You wouldn't have the same fighter if he was the same size as someone else.
All I know.
That's what pound for pound is there for. And Inoue don't have a Canelo to fight in his division. Same thing like Crawford. He didn't have a Canelo to fight at 140 when he became undisputed.
I'll say this. College brought up a good point. Look, if Inoue beats Fulton, I mean, it's gonna be hard to argue against him. You know what I mean? So it might depend who looks more impressive.
If Usyk beats Fury and has all 5 belts, like the ring belt too at heavyweight, then he has a strong argument too. Like that's
for sure.
About it.
But I think the panel overrules. Obviously, most people said Inoue, so Inoue will sit on the Iron Throne in Asia. Now, Oceiana, Australia. I'll start off with that one. In my opinion, okay, Opetaya, who beat Bradis, is the king of Australia, in my opinion. Okay, right now he's the king of cruiserweight, in my opinion, as well. That's who I got. Of course, there's also Tszyu, and there's some other fighters out there. But Calix, I'll start with you.
Jai Opetaya. Hopefully, he comes back strong from the injury, and it would have been an interesting conversation a while ago, right? Like Kambosos and Tszyu, but Jai Opetaya to me right now, that could change a year from now. Right now, and he's seriously talented, by the way.
It could change after Saturday night.
Yeah,
but we'll see. Boxing Wave.
Same thing. I was going to, I can't say George Kambosos. I think Jai is better than him. Yeah. I think he's better than all those guys over there. I mean, I would say Jai, Tim, and then maybe Kambosos, or maybe Kambosos and then Tim. I don't know. Depends on what we get Saturday night. But Jai and his win over Bradis is better than what I've seen from Kambosos, honestly.
Okay. All right. Low.
If we're talking just Australia, I would say George Kambosos. Another honorable mention name I want to say though it would be if we're talking about all of Oceania. That's Joseph Parker,
Hey.
New Zealand. So,
I mean, okay. Joe, what you got?
I'm going to take Tszyu here based off of potential. It's probably, you could definitely argue against it, but I'm going to say Tszyu.
Okay. MC, best fighter out of Australia. Who sits on the Iron Throne?
I thought I would have to say maybe Cambosos had it. To me, that was one of the persons that came to mind. He became undisputed, right? Not really disputed, but they don't really have a lot. Maybe Tim, right? But I guess Tim will get my vote. Hopefully, maybe he'll win, right?
All right. Now, Tim, I think I agree with B. Potential-wise, he might just be there, but he's the most popular out of Australia for sure. But I think Jai's got it. That's my opinion. But this is a tough one. Okay, we're going to go back to you, MC. Europe. And we'll end it with Europe. Who sits on the Iron Throne in Europe?
It's a no-brainer.
Tyson
MC.
Fury, and he's kind of been sitting there a little bit too long. It's starting to get a little too hot. He needs to hurry up and decide what he wants to do.
Man, just like that, huh, Joe?
MC is getting smarter by the day. I'm going to go with Tyson Fury too.
Man. Low?
Yeah, I think Tyson Fury has it. But Usyk is standing there trying to shake the chair and get him out of there. So we'll see.
He's got to fight.
A lot of good fighters out in Europe.
He's got to fight that fight. It's going to hurt him if he doesn't fight that fight.
Yep.
Not like Tyson Fury. They're riding high right now because they beat Jake Paul. Think about that. They're like
Furies. The
Furies.
Furies.
They're untouchable. The father is like
Furies.
I just
sold
think
800,000 pay-per-views, guys. That's a lot of pay-per-views.
Man, that was 3 straight confident answers. There's a lot of good fighters out of Europe. I'm just saying. Wave.
Furies.
Oh, B? Oh, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Good.
This was the hardest one. And
Easy wave. Easy wave.
I actually still believe I still believe that Usyk is more talented, but I think Fury is going to beat him if they fight because of his size. Yeah.
Man. Okay, Calix?
I like what Usyk did at cruiserweight. I think his run was.
But who's officially on the throne though? Like who's the guy sitting on the throne wave?
Do the right thing, wave.
Usyk, man, and Fury number 2.
The right thing.
Man.
My dad said, yo, tell him.
Who's you got? Who's your dad got?
Influence wave. I always try to influence wave.
He's saying Fury is number 1.
Man, okay.
Tell him, Big G. Tell him,
Hey,
Big
but
G.
he made Fury the hand of the king. Is what he did. You know what I mean? Hey, Calix, who sits on the throne, Calix?
Alexander Usyk. He's got the 3 belts, and by the way, he's got the ring belt as well. And I'll tell you this: when Tyson Fury falls, Joe Habib falls with him. But I'll tell you this as well: if that fight doesn't come off, and Lomachenko versus Haney happens, and Lomachenko upsets Haney, then Lomachenko slips back in that seat as the undisputed lightweight champion.
You know,
I agree with that. Yeah.
For my soul, I really need to see Fury and Usyk because, you know, Fury has never faced a guy like Usyk. Fury's never faced a guy who can slip and slide and move. And Usyk's not going to just stand there right in front of him and throw. He's going to move. And then Usyk's never faced a guy like Fury. He's never faced a guy that big and strong with that power. So to me, it's like a test for the both of them. They're both undefeated. It's for undisputed. I've probably talked Bruce Trampler's ear off about getting that fight made personally. So I'm excited. I hope. Do you all think we'll see it though?
Can I be honest with you? I think we're going to get an announcement soon. I think the pressure is on because the only way this fight doesn't happen, in my honest opinion, this is just my opinion, is if Fury really doesn't want it. I think Usyk wants it badly. I do think
That's
Usyk
right.
wants it bad.
I think the announcement that we're gonna get is gonna be Wilder versus Fury 4. Is
Oh,
the actual
come on.
announcement that
MC,
we're
don't
gonna
do
get.
that,
This,
MC.
this,
Don't put that into the
I'm
universe,
sorry.
MC.
This
Don't put
is
that
your
into
They've
the
already
universe.
put it out in the universe. It's been put out in the universe over there.
Or Andy Ruiz.
Hold
like,
on, hold on.
the title
That's your
Eliminator
king?
means nothing.
Your king is going to fight Wilder a fourth. That's your king? That's
I
what
never
we're
said
picking?
he was a good king. Did I say he was a good king? I
Terrible
never
king,
said
right?
that.
Horrible king.
Not every king is
Don't
good.
try to coerce
Did you
her
not
into
watch
changing
Game
her
of
mind now,
Thrones?
please.
Look, I
It's
got
Women's
Usyk.
Day. It's Women's Day.
Usyk's on the
Show
throne.
respect. Show respect.
Usyk's on the throne. He's got more belts. He's got more land. He's got more cheddar. He's in King's Landing. Okay, he's the one right there. I'm just saying.
Did you
right?
did you guys hear the story? Did you guys hear the story? Usyk's promoter was on Talk Sport, and they said the winner would get 60-40. That's the offer they presented to Fury.
I would never.
No.
By the way, I would never.
And they said no.
Accept a deal like that. I would never accept a deal like that.
You would too,
Because-
Calix.
No, I wouldn't. No, not a deal where it's stipulated on who would win percentage because there's too much. Judges could get it wrong. I don't want to
That's a good
be
point. That's a
robbed
good point,
and then
Calix.
lose 10% off of a robbery.
And here's another thing too, Calix. Why give up your leverage if you have it?
Yep.
Yeah,
that's another thing too. But I don't want to play businessman. Here,
Well, we'll see where that goes. Obviously, hopefully next week we'll have news on that. We'll cover it on the roundtable. One last topic. Conor Benn had an interview with Pierce Morgan. He said he was suicidal. He looked suicidal when he was clowning
Eubank.
He didn't look suicidal then, when he was laughing at him, but it is what it is, right? But look, we got to take it serious, obviously, because he said what he said. What do you guys make of the interview? He's backing off the egg thing. Now he's saying it was a contamination. They're all over the place. Well, and this will be the last topic. Let's start with you, Lo.
Oh man, yeah. Start with Lo on the heavy topic. I feel like that interview kind of did him more damage in the public eye than what he probably was hoping. Especially because he said that he had like all this mounting evidence that proves his innocence, and it's like, okay, we'll hand it over to the British Board of Control. Nah, I don't want to. I'm mad at him now. Like, what? Like, so you want to claim you're innocent, but you don't want? No, have faith, bro. Like, come on. You want to clear your name, but you got to do the thing that clears it. Show the proof, not us, because it really don't matter if I believe you or not. I don't decide your career. But then he said, "Well, I'm just not fighting in Britain anymore," which I can understand. Someone, I'm not saying I agree with it, but I can understand why his mind went that route. It's like a pride thing, maybe. But you're not doing yourself any favors by just throwing out all these random excuses, backpedaling on those excuses. Tell us what happened, show us the evidence, then you're cleared. Done. It should be that simple if that's the truth.
Okay. MC, what you make of the whole Conor thing so far?
I did get to watch the 20-minute interview. It could have gone longer. They cut it off. They even had the dad come on there and talk about it. He didn't really seem like he wanted to talk about it. He's like, I have my own personal things going on. So don't believe it's still the same story. And like Lo said, why are you not showing your evidence if you do have evidence? Now it's more like a pride thing and more like he's just mad at them. So personally, I'm over it. I think people are going to stop talking about it and he'll get that big fight with Manny Pacquiao somewhere where they don't need sanctioning bodies or the WBC would allow them to fight somehow.
Yeah. Boxing Wave, what you make of it?
Yo, D-Star, I apologize because I didn't watch the interview. For whatever reason, when I saw your list, I didn't see that at the bottom. What do I think overall about this whole thing? Well, I wasn't surprised that he didn't say a lot of things because, he's probably going to go through litigation with the BBOC or whatever is regard. So I don't think he's going to talk too much about it. I'm just kind of just sitting back on the sidelines. I haven't made any content on Conor Benn since the original story. I'm just gonna wait and see how this all plays out with the BBOC And as far as him fighting Manny Pacquiao, it's a joke at this point. You know, Pacquiao is just giving away losses at this point if he is going to take that fight. But yeah, I just want this. There's a lot of messy stuff going on with this whole situation because I think once the BBBOC made that stance, they should have came out with at least whatever they had on him. It doesn't seem like they have sufficient information on what's going on. So this is definitely going to go into some kind of lawsuit, and I'm just going to sit back and wait and see how this all unravels.
Fair enough, babe. What you make of that?
This is going to sound utterly ridiculous because there's a good thing to this and a bad thing to this. First of all, from a PR standpoint, this was horrible for him because he was trying to reach out to the public basically and get sympathy and empathy from them, right? And here's a slap in the face to all of the UK fans by saying, I don't care if I ever fight in the UK again, right? So a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, the hell with him. We're not going to pay to see him. No, that just the opposite's going to happen. He just turned himself into the heel now by that one statement. Now people are going to probably pay to see him lose now, right? He's going to be the heel, and there's going to be even more attention on him now. And the funny thing is this, because, the WBC, they cleared me. But once again, they're a sanctioning body. They're not a commission. And the commission trumps all. You know what I mean? The sanctioning body will sanction the fight if it's a title fight or if it's for a ranking or an eliminator. But without the commission, nothing happens. Now, okay, you don't have to fight in the UK. So what are you going to do? Are you going to spend the rest of your career fighting in the Middle East? Because I don't think people in the United States are going to welcome him with open arms either. After hearing that, I know a lot of these commissions are very strict and they tend to follow suit. Once someone fails a PED test, they follow suit with the commission, right? So if you fail in Las Vegas, you can't fight in New York or California. They all fall in line. So yeah, I just think this was a bad PR move. I think the more he talked, the worse he made it for himself. And he wants people to believe him, but he's not giving us anything to believe him. He's not giving us any evidence. He's not giving us anything for us to believe him. So it's almost impossible to believe him at this point. And then for him to say, well, this wasn't in my system. He was asked, Piers Morgan said, so would you acknowledge that this was in your system? No, it wasn't in my system. So that's kind of just being in denial, And Gabe Montoya made a great point. He says, when that sample goes out, your name's not on it. Nobody knows who you are at the lab. They just take the sample and they assess it and they send it back, right?
Allegedly.
Well, I talked to people in labs before. I went to Quest Diagnostics and everything. My sister is a registered nurse. I mean, they don't know. I mean, I know where you're going. Like, can people mix urine samples and stuff like that? Yeah, but I don't know, man. It's a slippery slope when you talk about that, because people have medical license. I don't think they want to risk that and get sued and face fines and jail time just to help do Conor Benn a solid. But yeah, I just think this was a horrible look for him. But I still think that he'll fight again and he'll make a lot of money. So it is what it is.
Hey, before we go to Calix, Charles Edward Cheese. Thank you for the support, brother. Much appreciated. Jab, the subscribe, hook, the like, uppercut, the super chat. Brilliant show. I appreciate your support. Thanks for coming through, brother. I definitely appreciate it. Calix, what are your thoughts on this Conor Benn thing? Piers Morgan interview to close out.
Didn't watch it, not interested. And I've been so checked out on drug testing, PEDs for about a decade now. I'm at the point where it just gets in the way of my fights. I was one of the people during this saying, go ahead with the fight. For the love of God, just go ahead with the fight. And the confusing part about this, I'll say, though, is he seems to be getting a lot more scrutiny for this than other fighters fairly recently, who have been in the same position. And I can't figure out why that is, because he's getting a lot more scrutiny than fighters on his level, some even higher, who have tested positive and sort of got pushed under the rug. That's the confusing part about it for me. But I will say this. I'm all in. I know this makes me a terrible boxing fan, but I'm all in for Manny Pacquiao versus Conor Benn. All in. All right. Manny Pacquiao, I don't think is going away. I think he tested the exhibition market. He didn't like it. He needs the action, and I think he needs the money as well. And Conor Benn is not Ugas in that Conor Benn is going to come to Manny Pacquiao, and Manny Pacquiao would prefer to fight fighters like that. So I think that'd be a good fight. That's all I'm saying. Be a good fight.
Fair enough. All right. Hey, I want to thank the whole panel for showing up. Great show. Big thanks to Low, MC, Wave, as always, Calix, and Joe Habib, and also to Charles Edward Cheese. All right. This is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. We're out of here, guys. Peace.
Peace.